You smell some sassy wangu, we sweet him, I love you. Osebesa mile baningi beti sohlukana kotalenta yenzeki. Obathu baby ungidisile kanti abazi ukuthi mina ngisemathandweni. Wowendiza umshini, baby. Angizokuthandela sasa. Angizokuthandela ipanoyi, my love. Angizokuthandela ipanoyi, my love. Angizokuthandela ipanoyi, my love. Angizokuthandela ipanoyi, ingana, my love. Ufika kwenye nyama ni veki pemi, ingana, izinto zazibona malamba nubuhi, international flex. Chutu kanda wana dani I've seen a lot of things done come my way. I'm thankful for today. I'm thankful for today. I've seen worse days. A lot of things I've seen. I don't sleep, nah, 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 nah. Don't sleep on that thing. Come wine, don't sleep, nah, 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 nah. I walk a lot when I start to dance. Yeah, right now I'm on a holiday. Yeah, free and fly away. Yeah, baby girl, come cool me down. Don't stop, I'm on a holiday. Yeah, I wanna free my mind and go away. Yeah, free me, fly away. Yeah, oh my God, come cool me down. Wine like this up, give me that thing up. Wine like this up, give me that thing up. Give me that thing, girl. Wine like this up, I was star boy. Give me that thing up. Wine like this up, give me that thing up. Wine like this up, give me that thing up. Give me that thing, girl. Wine like this up, I was star boy. Give me that thing up. Waka waka baby, baby, corner baby. And I go tell my mama, and I go tell my papa, and I go tell and say, you be waka waka baby, you be chuku chuku baby, baby sawale, sawa sawa sawale. I shower, boom boom. Boom boom. Boom boom. And you baby sawa
saw her, she was looking like an angel light. She coming at me, man, like a dynamite. She flashed like a lighter in any candlelight, and then she said,
all this on me.
yeah, you know, so when you move your body, hold on tight. Make it no drop to hurt nobody, make it a watch your side. I beg you, pico, among you, no be fight, and then she said,
all this on me. Boy, you know, say if I give you body, you go search it. You know, go fit, rock the MIC, cause you go lose control. Hey,
put your busy body, you go search it. I go to still, rock the MIC, and I go lose control.
boy, you go lose control.
I go lose control.
Boy, you go lose control.
I will tell you all the way I grab you to the break of dawn. You go lose control. Busy body, if I catch you, I will tell you all the way I grab you to the break of dawn. You go lose control. Busy body, let me say really or not, get up, cause if I catch you, I go take you slowly.
You can run away. I will do my
Mwanakazi musamu suzi malimba sali chonjo no. Ngati mwakanika mwenenyu mwanakazi yumumuliki mutibweresera chidonzo chikristu mwachisiya kuti mwasanduka vandame mina ngati Rambo mani mwalo wa jango like jango Yesu mwamusiya kuti mwasanduka vandame mina ngati Rambo mani mwalo wa jango like jango malemba Bible lichita indicate umukonde konde malemba Bible lichita indicate samuzunze umukonde kati Solomoni umuchengetela ngati Solomoni umukonde ngati Solomoni Bible lichita indicate umukonde konde musadi chitese manyasi ngani anu ifika kuma area musanyozese mulungu wa chimwene ngani anu ifika kuma area
Siva kukonda timaziva, just move on. Baba kunena timamvela, basakila reason, yeah. Bafuna bankale bankaiwe, manje sibanga kwanise soba mazonda famino chita. When you go down, pick it up. Bavalile na kuti, go down, pick it up. Titenge na Gucci, go down, pick it up. Baby, go down, pick it up. Baby, go down, pick it up. Bavalile na futi, when you go down, pick it up. Titenge na Gucci, go down, pick it up. Go down, pick it up.
If it's yours when you drop down, pick it up. Chile pule, in other words, rip it up. You the only one that's with it now. Baleke babe, fake you original. Style right now, let's hit them up. Shoot them down with no criminal. Never looked at me, wanna see me now. Baleke babe, fake you original.
Everything, you know it. King already, everything, you know it. My body so got a king body. Don't shine, bling, bling body. Calling all the shots, ring, ring body. Crown on your head, got a king body. Don't live the king, you a king, you know it. King already, my baby, you know it. Top everything, everything, you know it. King already, you know it. Shine already, it's time already. The line already, it's time already. Shine already, it's time already. The line already, it's time already.
Try to stop it, me say no, no, no. Royalty say don't you, no, no, no. Try to stop it, me say go, 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 go. Bubble up and watch it go, 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 go. Be ruler, be ruler, yeah. Everybody are the conquer, yeah. Every king be stronger, yeah. King the rule them longer, yeah. Remember who you are, oh. Real king always be no. Give up be brave, oh. And show your people my love. You sang my ready, I say you sang my ready. You line already, I say you line already. Only you got the remedy, I say you got the remedy. Shine your body, shine your body.
Long live the king, you know it. King already, you know it. Top everything, everything, you know it. King already, you know it. My body so got a king body. Body gon' shine, bling, bling body. Calling all the shots, ring, ring body. Crown on your head, got a king body. Long live the king, you know it. King already, my baby, you know it. Top everything, everything, you know it. King already, you know it.
Boy, you hot like a wood. Boy, you hot like a wood. Got to revive ya, go. Me want know if I fi jam it again. Me want know if I fi jam it again. Me want know if I fi jam it again. Me want know if I fi jam it again. I just wanna be your girl tonight. Let me make you feel alright. Hold my hand, but hold me tight. I'm on. But now me and you tonight. Let me make you feel alright. Oh, hold me down. I'm
Ready now, I'm ready now. Come get me now, come give me now. Baby from fire, you got it my head. Promise you, girl, you not gonna leave me there.
something about you, baby. Something that drives me crazy. Put your magic on me, baby. Don't you tell me no. Cause I know the spell can't be broken without you. Ndacho kela kutali kumala we. Ndati kwatu kumala we. Ndacho kela kutali kumala we. Ndati kwatu kumala we. You can tell by the way that my booty bounce. You like the way that my booty bounce. I know you like the way that my booty bounce. Chipatu achamala we. I'm only single for tonight. Boy, I want to make you feel alright. Baby, not me and you tonight. I'm only single for tonight.
Original black skin, you're the fantasy. Me want if it's land or overseas. Among the girl and girl, you may see. You have a proper definition of a fantasy. Yeah, your body na go-go. Say, run up and them when me hear them go-go. Tell me now they go-go. Say, anything you want, let me know, no. Say, you look for me and you look at me. But you act like you're very blessing. Somebody nice girl on.
Angelina, you the cool in my temperature. If you call, I go come deliver. And I go fall in your hand never. So now me you could love forever. I'm a dog, you know feeble like that. I'm a Angelina, I'm a Angelina. Oh, me all down. Anytime when I see you for the club or the television, your body. Sure you know say the thing when you carry 50 kill somebody. You know I feel a vibe, you feel a vibe, so baby whine about me. Yeah, and I know you shy, but it's cool when we're making love. On the low, 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 on the low. Angelina,
your booty jaja. Jaja, 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 your booty jaja.
I saw your love give me fever. All the time you come and the shiver. Now you get the one, just believe it. Like diva, my diva. Oh, you turn Batman to Zina. With your sexy body, Carolina. I saw your love, I go bad like John Cena.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back. I hope you all had some really, really intriguing conversations in those breakout rooms. Looking at the chat, I can see there's a lot of people commenting on the music, a lot of people commenting on all that took place in those breakout rooms. I want to encourage you all, please continue. Do share your thoughts on the event. Keep us posted on what it is you're thinking around when it comes to youth in the public office, and even more. Share your thoughts, use the chat as much as you can. At this stage, I'd like to call upon Francis Eki. He is from the graduating class of 2012, and he's going to talk to us more about what's going to take place next. Francis, over to you.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Mwebale kuja. We are so happy to have you on this call. We are so excited about the inaugural gathering of the L for Governance Network. It's such an exciting time to have critical conversations on how we can improve the public sector. As you may remember, the theme for this gathering this year is the role of the youth in strengthening the public sector. I cannot have a more appropriate session than the one we are about to have right now. And this session is really aimed at highlighting the experiences of youth network members who have experience in the public sector at such a young age. All these are very incredible and remarkable people that I would like to introduce to you right about now. Before I do that, I'll introduce myself again. My name is Francis Eki, and I work at the African Leadership Academy as a network coordinator for the Air for Governance Network. But I'm also an alumnus of the Academy from the class of 2010, and I graduated in 2012. I think I can see all my panelists here. Cornelia, I think we're waiting on Cornelia. But in the meantime, let me introduce our distinguished panel. We have Lindelwa Zwane. Lindelwa is from Eswatini, and she is an esteemed alumnus of the MasterCard Foundation Scholars Scholarship Program. She is from Eswatini, and she has experience in the public sector working as a town planner in Matsapa Town Council, but also she volunteered at the Municipal Council of Mbabane. So, Lindelwa, we are so glad to have you on this call. Thank you very much for honoring our invitation. We also have an amazing lady from Mali. She's a former classmate of mine, so I'm always excited to have her. So we're happy to have you, Fatih. Fatih Alansa is from Mali. And more recently, she was the youngest diplomat in Mali and was having a very critical role in the government, working as the head of missions in the Foreign Affairs Ministry. So Fatih, we're very excited to have you. Fatih currently got a new job. She's now working as a country director of the Timbuktu Institute in Mali. Fatih, thank you very much for coming. We're so excited to have you. And then I have my brother from ALA as well. He graduated from ALA, and his name is Louis Okon. Louis is from West Africa in Nigeria. Louis also has an incredible track record in the public sector at a very young age. In 2020, at the very interesting age of 19 years old, Louis was the youngest ever political appointee in the history of Nigeria when he was appointed as a personal assistant to the state governor of the Cross River State in Nigeria. So, Louis, I'm excited to chat with you about that experience and what lessons you've picked from it, and what other young people and even the older generation can learn from a young man as yourself. So, to start us off, I will start with Lindelwa. Lindelwa, could you please share with us what is your background and how did you end up in the public sector?
Hi everyone. Am I audible?
Hi.
Yes, you're audible. We can hear you.
Right. My background is in social science in my undergrad, where I specialized in geography, environmental science, and planning. But eventually, I decided to specialize in town planning, and more especially in a developing country like mine. My passion fell right through to helping and developing the country and servicing the people. Most of all, I think my passion came from a big construction that happened in the country probably 10 years ago. And I was like, and then these people are relocating these people. So I was like, oh, there's a phenomenon of relocating people, creating new settlements. And that's where my passion for town planning and regional planning came in. And so here I am today, trying to help people providing basic services through town planning. And that's why I'm here now.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Lindelwa. And let's move on to Louis. So, Louis, what is your background and how did you find yourself in the public sector?
Okay, thank you very much for that. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. My background mostly is in politics and economics. While at ALA, I did a lot of classes around that. Because really, I've always been interested in the area of development. So when I say development, I'm talking about educational development, unemployment as well. Unemployment is a big issue for me. Development of industries and the role that government has in all of this. So really, when I finished from ALA and I knew I was going to take a gap year, the first thing on my mind was how to get into government back home. And I remember telling some of my classmates when I knew, okay, I'm going on a gap year, like, oh, I'll go home and I'll join politics. And people were like, Chief, you started again with your funny stories. But I went back and that's what I did because I figured that there's an opportunity for not only for young people to get involved, but for someone like me to, go into the sector and see how it actually operates and see, okay, get practical on the so that by the time I'm in university, I understand some of the challenges that I'm going back to face and whatnot, and also to see what I can do during my time in government.
Awesome. That's great. Thank you very much for that, Louis. So Fati, tell us a little bit about your background. What's your background and how did you end up in the public service in Mali?
Thank you so much, Francis. My background, I think how I end out in the public sector, I wouldn't say it's 100% accidental. I have to say that it's inspired by like personal experience because I started first being an activist under the ground. So I'm originally from northern Mali. So I was born there, raised there. So I moved to Bamako because my father joined the army. But before that, I knew I wouldn't be able to go to school because of lack of school in the area. And what happened is when I was able to go to school every summer, I used to go back and teach like young kids there how to read and write. So since then, my passion was to bring back education in my community. And this is something I knew I wanted. So I started becoming very active in the children parliaments. I was the president of the children parliament in Mali at a very young age, where I get to be in touch with like policymakers, with like, I would like regularly meet with the Minister of Education, Minister of Children and Women, so to really discuss about like the challenges that children are facing in a different type of region of Mali. So I was doing that at a very young age, but at the same time, I knew that my passion was, I want to bring back school home because I left cousins, I left friends back in my region in Timbuktu. They don't have access to education. And then I joined the African Leadership Academy. And I was very inspired meeting like all these amazing like young leaders coming from like all over Africa with amazing ideas. And also I was very inspired by the fact that these young people have achieved amazing things in their community, even though they are very young. So then I was like, my dream actually, even like the story of the founder of like the African Leadership Academy, Fred Swanika, was able to run the school with his mom at a very young age. And I was like, so my dream is not utopic, it's feasible. I can do it. There are young people out there who have done that. So when like after my first year, I went back home and I decided to take audience from like the Ministry of like Foreign Affairs. The Minister of Education. And I was like, I want to build school back in Timbuktu. And he was like, what the hell? You know, I was like 18, like this young lady is just coming me, I want to build school. So he was like, do you even know how the education system works? Do you even know how the curriculum works? Without even thinking, you know how I am. I was very excited. I was like, yes. So like he gave me like a big challenge. He told me to run like a summer school. He told me if I run very well this summer school, he's gonna give me a land to build my own school. So I ran the summer school very well, and he was happy. He gave me authorization to run my own school. So when I got into college, the first thing I did when I arrived to university is like, I made sure I share my passion with everybody, which is to bring back school in my community, which is to help my community. So I raised money on campus through like Girl Rising campaign. At that moment, there was like this whole like film about Girl Rising story of like young women from like Afghanistan and other part of the world who were like facing child slavery, rape, and a lot of like very difficult things just to have access to education. So I showed those videos, shared my story, raised money, went back home and built school. But I was very frustrated that because of politics, because of like the insecurity, like all these efforts, like I was able to run the school for a few months, children were happy, but the school was destroyed, you know. The school was destroyed by the rebel group, and I was very frustrated, you know. I was like, wow, you know, I worked hard for this. These children, it's good to have access to education, but how can we make sure that these children have access to safe education? You know, that was like my main concern, because right now it's a very, very dangerous situation that I have put them. So since we don't have a lot of time, to make the story short, so I decided from there to start my own NGO called Tigwat Peace Network, like helping young girls in the conflict areas in Mali. I'm not going to go into the details, but I decided to really go working at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, especially at the policy making level. Is like, as an activist working on the ground for a long time, I have seen that the decision making at the top influence a lot what happened under the ground. So that I have noticed that I have to be at the decision making table, so I will able to influence policies, so that we have more sustainable, peaceful security Mali. And for that, I need to be at the decision-making table where I can also influence policy, either it's foreign policy or it's a policy in Mali.
Awesome, Fatih. Thank you very, very much for that elaborate, presentation on your background and how, your passions and your different experiences came together to actually lead you into the public service. So I'll come back to you shortly, but I'll move to Lindelwa. Actually, before I do that, I would like to introduce our other panelist. Our other panelist is Cornelia Krua Togba, and she is from Liberia. She is an Amuje leader of the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf Center. She's also the official spokesperson and also the Assistant Secretary General of the Unity Party in Liberia. So one thing you need to know about Cornelia went into the deep end of elective politics at a very young age. So she will be sharing with us some of her experiences working in the political arena, especially in elective politics. So welcome, Cornelia. Are you able to unmute yourself, Cornelia?
Yeah, Yeah, Francis.
Yes, we can hear you, Cornelia.
Thank you. I'm just struggling with my video, but I think that should be sorted very shortly.
Okay. In the meantime, Cornelia, I'll just go right into it and ask Cornelia, what is your background and what was your inspiration or journey into elective politics? How did you find yourself in politics?
So I started to have interest in leadership when I was still in high school, and that drove me towards the African Leadership Academy when they moved to Liberia to recruit the inaugural class for African Leadership Academy. And while there, I met a lot of amazing young people from all over Africa that had these dreams and inspiration of wanting to bring change to Africa, being the new generation of African leaders. And during that process, I always say that for me, my most important moments at the African Leadership Academy were the people that I met. Those were the people that inspired me. Those were the people that gave me the opportunity to see how innovative and how aspiring other young people are. So that drew me a little more into being interested in leadership, into African politics. And then I came back to Liberia and started to study, went to the UK and did a master's in international politics and economics. And when I came back to Liberia after that to work on my dissertation, I did a dissertation on women's political participation in politics in Liberia. And that's where I saw most of the gaps that we have. As you know, Liberia is the first country on the African continent to have a democratically elected female president. But despite that, there is still a huge gap in how that transforms from electing the first female president to having at least a strong or majority female leadership in Liberia. So that's where my interest in politics came, because I believe that we need, in Liberia, the female population is about 51%. So I believe that if you are in the majority in a country, you have to ensure that your voice is heard. And that's how I got interested in wanting to contest for the legislative seat in Liberia. And that led me to my first elections that I participated in, and my overall interest in wanting to bring transformation and change to Liberia.
Wow, Cornelia, thank you so much for that. Actually, people in the comments are already saying you are so brave. I think I can say the same for all of you who are on this call, because it takes a lot of bravery to actually get into public service. Lindelwa, I want to bring the conversation to you, right? It is known that in most public sector, departments and ministries, most of the people are of more senior age. So you left your country and went to study outside of your country and came back with new ideas. How was your experience working with more senior people? How did they receive some of your ideas? How did they receive you in the departments that you were working in?
Well, coming back from school, breaking into the public sector yet again when I came back was very difficult. More especially now that it's like you've added another level to your education, and in a country like mine, it's almost as if, you think you're better than us who've been here with all the experience in the world, and you're coming here with your new ideas and qualifications. So breaking in yet again was very difficult, but eventually that happened, and that's the number one frustration, because every civil servant or every civilian in this country, when they study, they all look up to working for government. So it's a saturated sector already. So that is just one of the frustrations. So when I got into it, it's the first thing that was said to me: you're very energetic. Like, you are very energetic. You will have to let off that steam at some point and get back into like, get to our level at some point. So that is the most frustrating part of it, because then it's like I cannot share my ideas so confidently without feeling like someone is gonna crush it. You think you're better, you're energetic. We've been doing this the same way for the past 10 years. We are stuck to our ways, and we prefer it that way without you increasing our workload. Now you want us to work more. We are used to doing this in 8 to 5 or even in 8 to 1 p.m. So that has to be my most frustrating experience with the public sector. But however, we are working towards, there's a new organization that works to actually like inferring young women into the public sector. So the resistance of having young people in the public sector is decreasing because of that, but it's still a work in progress. So I think the two that frustrated me the most are those, without taking much of your time, and I just have to share that.
Thank you very much for your candid
Yeah.
response, Lindelwa, and being very authentic in your response. So I would like to encourage the participants on the gathering to also drop your questions in the chat section, and when time allows, we shall get to them. But in the meantime, it's already amazing that these young people are able to break through into the public sector. However, I want us to shift the conversation a little bit to talk about the real challenges that they have faced, in their experiences, right? So I'll start with, maybe let me start with Fatih. Fatih, can you share with us what your experience was, first of all, as a young person, but also as a woman in a male-dominated sector, right? What were some of the challenges that you faced and the barriers that hindered some of your work?
Thank you so much, Francis. I have to say, the work is rewarding, but it has a lot of challenges, and we have to be ready for it. I have to say, I have faced a lot of challenges from the day of my nomination. First of all, it's made a lot of noise on the social media. Why do they pick her? Why is it her? Or maybe she's dating somebody at the top level. So a lot of noise already started. So that is already a sign that, okay, when you get there, get ready to be challenged. So, and then the fact that I was the youngest actually at the ministry, and also with like 3% of women in that sectors. So most of the time I will find myself in like meetings, reception, where I'm actually the only woman at the reception. I'm the only woman at the decision-making table. And some of the challenges I have faced is like just taking your idea seriously. Because sometimes you will be talking, but they don't listen. The next thing is they will comment on your beauty, they will comment on your clothes, but never comment on like the idea you project. That's like being a woman already. So it's very frustrating. It was very frustrating for me at that point. And secondly, it's like the culture of like, you shouldn't like express your idea or in a way in front of the elders. Elders always have an advantage with like the trust, they trust them more and they believe more on their idea, even though it's not contextualized. Because I have to say that us as young people, with like globalization, with like all this technology, we have like different approach on like diplomacy. We have different approach on governing compared to like our like fathers and grandfathers who have been like running before. So the fact that they wouldn't listen to me. So that was very difficult at the beginning. So I knew that I have to really work harder for me to be heard, to be listened. And I will give you an example. Like right after the coup d'etat, I was like picked among the 20 experts. Right after the coup d'etat, the government of transition picked 20 experts to be part of like the scientific committee that work on like the chapter of the transition, that work on like roadmap of the transition, and also like organize the big national consultation to pick like the next president of Mali. So I was among the 20 people, were like 2 women in that sector. So after we finished the work, I was picked by the committee to go present on the national TV, like the results, and kind of like announce like the national consultation. And then I went to bed after presenting. The next day, there was like my name all over social media with picture of like former presidents and picture of like the actual guys who did the coup d'etat. And I was receiving threatening calls from people telling me that, oh, so you were like the brain of the coup d'etat. You use your body to like distract our like our decision makers. Some of people were telling me, don't even try to go out. So it's like, it can be very difficult. But I was frustrated because I was like, I wasn't the only person in that group, you know? There were like other 20 experts, but just the fact that they were older than me, they were men, so they didn't get those threatening that I got. So I think, and plus, being young, being a woman, being beautiful also is very difficult, because I was also having another challenge from like other women. No, it's not just like the men, even other women, like some of like my boss's wife will think that I'm dating their husband, so they will like put pressure on their husband to stop the collaboration with me. So there was like a lot of difficulties. So I really have to stay positive and work hard. And the second thing is, older people, especially being a young, they usually make you become only the brain. So you will be like working hard under the ground, and then they will be like the one presenting, acting as if they're the one who did everything. So like, it's one of the difficult things to try to be the brain and the face as a young people in the public sector, and also being a woman with all this sexual harassment from women taking your like idea seriously was like one of the challenges that I have faced.
Wow. I must say again, you know, a word like brave has been used. Amanda in the chat section says, I think we need thick skin to be able to engage in the public sector. So Fati, we're really proud of you. Thank you very much for that response. Moving on to Louis. Louis, you were 19 years old when you worked with the highest office in the state, right? So tell us, what was your first week like? You know, when you reached the office and you had to start work, how was the first week like? What was your experience?
Let me start with this. Just like Fatu, the biggest problem comes when you're, or not the biggest, you know, like that you're in trouble when your name is announced. So my name was announced, and even people who know me were like, huh? Why? We didn't get appointed, and we are 40, 50, 60. That kid was, the excellency was going on. And of course, nobody called me at first until he hit social media. And then I even saw people who know me saying very bad things about me in the comment section. And I was amazed because I didn't do anything to anyone. I was just minding my business and trying to get things done, and, you know, also working to promote my own interests, because we have to be honest. Politics, public sector, everything, no matter what you choose to do in life, is not only the interest of the people you want to serve, there's also a bit of self-interest, right? You're like, this will be a good opportunity for me to develop myself. So I'm just trying to do my best, and people are coming after me, and I haven't resumed yet. But honestly, it was easier when I got to the office, because
Okon, you're on mute. Louis, you're on mute.
Okay. Can you hear me again?
Go ahead. Yeah, we can hear you now. Go ahead. Yeah, we can hear you.
What was the last thing you heard? Can you hear me now? Can't hear. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Okay, great. Wait, where was I? Okay, so basically, I started working and I realized that a lot of it is that I need to realize that, one, even though I'm 19, I recognize that I'm a very smart person. So I think that was one of the things for me. I know I'm smart. I'm like really smart. And because of that, I was always confident to say, okay, well, this is what I think. And I was never afraid to say, these are my thoughts. And even if people don't like the idea of working with someone who's like the age of their last child, eventually they even get so used to you and your ideas, if your ideas are good, that they start calling you sir. So I go to work, it's Louis. After a while, 50, 60-year-olds, people close to retirement are like, oh, good morning, sir. And the reason for that is because I recognized my talent and I was able to push myself forward. I was never afraid. And if you continue doing that over time, even though people will steal your ideas, even though your ideas will get trampled on in public, you realize that somehow what you said is slowly being turned into policy, right? What you're saying is slowly getting to the table of the governor, and sometimes even the federal government. Like one day I found myself writing to the National Security Advisor, and I was like, well, I know that I'm not going to sign this because, I wasn't going to sign it. But really, the joy came from knowing that these are my thoughts that the National Security Advisor is going to read and maybe relate to the president. So I think that one thing is with politics, and I think is with every sector really, is that you need to recognize, except you're self-employed, that your name is not always going to be there. And you should be able to appreciate that, okay, my name might not be there, but my ideas are going to be there. And my dad, who's a civil servant for about 20 years, now a director, he's the one that taught me that a lot. Because he's a director now, so, one more step. And till now, he doesn't get the acknowledgement that that he would have liked to all the time. 20 years later, he's turning 50 this month. So I think it's one of the challenges of the sector. But really just recognize your value and and just really keep working is what I'd say. Francis, I can't hear you.
So we'll move on to Lindelwa. Thank you very much, Luis, for that. So Lindelwa, we're quickly running out of time. I wish we had so much time, but I'm going to ask two questions that you can respond to. So one, looking back at your experiences, Lindelwa, working in the public sector, what do you wish you knew before entering the public sector? And secondly, how can young people best prepare themselves for opportunities in the public sector?
What I wish I knew. How difficult it is to break in. That's the first thing. The frustration of being a young female in the infrastructural industry, that is the built environment. You obviously, as Fatima has alluded, a person will walk into your office and look at you and be like, oh, it's you. Can I talk to someone else? Because you're female. I don't trust your opinion. I don't trust anything you're about to say to me right now. And some days you can take that. Some days it's like, I know what I'm doing. I know my job. And if you can't take that, you might as well just walk right out again. And so I wish I knew that initially, but it's also a learning curve and building confidence. And honestly, the other thing, I think when you get into this, it's all about passion, because there are days where you feel you've done your most, but your energy is low. Your passion, honestly, you have to be passionate when you get into this, because you're providing service. You are making someone's life easier. You're providing convenience. You are bettering someone's life with, be it in the health sector, be it political. You are making a change, one person at a time. For every person who walks into your office, you're changing a life. And that is passion. If that fulfills you, that is passion. And I believe if you want to get into that, have all the passion in the world, because some days that's the only thing that will push you to another day.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Lindelwa. Thank you so much, Lindelwa. We'll move quickly because we are really out of time. So Fati, what's the one word that you would use to describe your experience in the public sector, and what's your final word of advice to young people who want to get into the sector? Fati, you're on mute. Fati, you're on mute. There we go.
No.
I can hear you now.
Is it fine?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
My one word, I would say it was rewarding experience. I don't regret doing it at all because I was able to have the impact I wanted, influencing life of people in terms of like policy decision. Because of my department, we're able for the first time having like women taking seat at the peace agreement, monitoring agreement in Mali, which never happened. So I'm very, very happy. I would say it's rewarding. One advice I will give to people who want to join the public sectors or doing politics is have, as my sister say, have the passion is very, very important. Stay focused. Have an objective, because the role is very, very difficult. You have a lot of noise, people telling you cannot do it, people like discouraging you. So you have to have objective and talk to yourself and stay focused on those objectives, and take care of your mental health as well. It's very, very important, because sometimes you can just be so drained into the work, internalizing all these negative things that people are saying about you, all this negative energy, and you forget about taking care of your mental health. So take care of mental health, stay focused, have passion, and don't internalize the fact that you are a woman or you are young, because that's what they're trying to do to stop you. So know that you have skills, you have ideas, you are here because you can do the work. So focus on that.
All right. Thank you very much, Fati, for that brilliant advice. And before we wrap up, we just have Cornelia and Luis. Let's keep it short. Luis, what's one word to define your experience in the public sector, and one word of advice?
Okay. I'll start with the word of advice. I would say that people should not be afraid to get into the public sector or to get into politics. Do not be afraid of politics, especially party politics. It's very messy, but if you believe that you can maneuver the system, then there's a chance that you could, right? Just don't give up just yet. And I would really summarize my experience so far as being insightful. So there's a lot to learn. And please don't think you know it all. Don't be overconfident. Like, be ready to face the fact that sometimes you will be wrong, and that's okay.
All right. Thank you very much, Luis, for those amazing words. And Cornelia, parting shots. Cornelia, what has been the one word that really wraps up your experience so far in the political space? And what's one word of advice that you would share?
I would say exciting. If you ask me for one word, it has been an exciting journey so far. And if I were to give an advice, I'll say to everyone that you should try to strike a balance between who you truly are and who you want to be, because most times we try to portray ourselves or project ourselves as what we want to see ourselves as in 5 to 10 years and forget about who we are at this moment. I would say be intentional about your actions. So be careful how you do things, but also be human and make sure that, as Fati said, you take care of your mental health, because if you're too intentional and you just focus on who you want to be, sometimes you have that issue because you don't have a balance between the reality and what you imagine something to be.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Cornelia. It has been an absolute honor and privilege to really chat with young movers and shakers on the African continent. I am very confident that the future of Africa is indeed in safe hands with young people like yourselves doing amazing things. Thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in and for joining us for our first ever AL for Governance gathering. My name is Francis Eki. It's been an honor hosting you, and I will now move it back to Nkembo Kiala, our MC for today, to really give us the final instructions for the evening. On to you.
Thank you
Nkembo.
so much, Francis. That was amazing. It's great seeing how all the youth are engaging in the public sector and are doing so enthusiastically. And they're giving us some really rich words of advice here, right? Let's learn from this, right? It's a learning opportunity. We do not know it all, and let's follow our passions and do so meaningfully. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of day one, but not the end of our gathering. Just a few words in terms of announcements. So the first announcement is that ALU is inviting all people that are working in the public service or public offices. So anyone that's in the public service, if you're in a public service official, please do join them by applying to the Center for Reimagined Africa. And the link for the application will be added to the chat. So it's a call for application by ALU for anyone that's working in the public sector to join the Reimagined Center for the Center for Reimagined Africa. The next announcement is that we are moving into a networking session. So for the next half hour or so, we're inviting everyone to go back to the lobby and go into the networking sessions, the networking rooms, and engage one another there. And as we said, it's the end of day one, but it's not the end of our engagement. Tomorrow, we resume. We're kindly asking that you join us again. We will start promptly at 2 p.m. We'll hear some really, really interesting conversations around our grand topic and something exciting. A Nobel Prize winner will be joining us as well. And we're also going to be hearing from ALA's most recently appointed CEO, Bilha Ndirangu. So from me, your host Nkembo Kiala, I want to thank you all for joining us. And I hope you found this moving and inspirational. If you're young and you're looking to get into the public sector, don't doubt yourself. Do it now. Thank you. Kindly asking that everyone take this closing poll before we leave.
shy. Don't tell where we dey shy. See, don't tell where we dey mania. Don't tell where we dey mania. Since 1960, yeah. Don't tell where we dey shy. Since 1930, no. Don't tell where we dey shy. We dey do skeleton. We dey do your body skeleton. We dey do we dey do skeleton. Get a fake money on your body bunny. Baby girl Pulani, you dey wine follow me. So tell me she meta Kulani, but the bar show they do, you they do Kulani. I say water, dirty pussy carter. Baby girl you know say that's about the bad. If you want to do, then we got the part. Baby girl you know you can never be a bad. We dey do skeleton. You dey do your body skeleton. You dey do
Grab your mask if you want to dance. You want to dance? Yes, sir. 1 meter apart. Quick. Wear your mask.
You're the one I want, oh. Before my liver start to fail, you're the one I need, oh. Before cassava start to hail, and if I ever leave, oh, make what I carry me, they go far away. So I am looking for a sister, Jehovah, my lover, oh. She got the dollar, she dey wear designer, so I am looking for a sister. Jehovah, my lover, oh. She got the dollar, she dey wear designer, so give me assurance. I give my baby assurance. I give my baby lifetime insurance. Assurance, oh no, assurance. I give my baby assurance. I give my baby lifetime insurance. Yeah. Big, heavy. Bang, bang. Heavy. Baby, do you want me? Big, heavy. Oh. Big, heavy. Baby, do you want me? Love is sweet, oh. Yeah. Confuse me. Tell me why you dey confuse me, oh baby. Your body too attractive, and the way I come for you, it be like magic. Oh no, the way you did me, I go day, and I no go fit to come another day. Although I go to call you my baby, and together we go there, we no go fade away. Why we say that you in my mind? Say you no be option, no be lie. Oh yeah, make it run away, make it fly away. Oh no. Why we say that you in my mind? Say you no be option, no be lie. Oh yeah, make it fly away, make it run away. So when you call on me. You just say I go pull up on you. You just say I go what? Call on me. You just say I go pull up on you. Yeah. You just say I go pull up on you. And so we enter part 2. Stepping at the place, everybody confused. Everything move. I like to smoke and booze. Oh yeah, make you feel good. Oh,
she no like it, I don't have to. But but she go chop if you give her cucumber. Walk up from Transamadi till I leg picking, shake her with a loco. Baby, make her give you solid. Make her even mix them with a lay and I walk out. They will let me tell you. She dey feel and da 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 da. She dey feel and da 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 da. She dey feel and da 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 da. She dey feel and da 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 da.
I am DJ Shorty, and I love music. I eat, breathe, sleep, and live music.
saka hele nyanga Skiti piti gesha kuyenyuka Njalo njalo kuze phela unyaka Sivuka noma singafuni Skandi saka hele nyanga Skiti piti gesha kuyenyuka Njalo njalo kuze phela unyaka Zaga 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 Sifuni zaga 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 Sifuni zaga 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 We can do anything for Maria Peppa. Oh, come on.